The woman erased from the Bible, and the secret she held. Imagine for a moment, what if I told you that Eve, the woman everyone knows, the classic figure in biblical history, was not actually the first woman created by God? What if there was someone before her, a woman so powerful and independent that history deliberately and systematically erased her from our records? A woman who knew the secret name of God, a name that grants authority over the divine itself, and dared to speak it, challenging all the established laws and the order of heaven. We are about to dive into a mystery that few have dared to investigate, into a story as ancient as it is disturbing, whose truth has been hidden for centuries by censorship and fear. This is the story of Lilith, the first woman of humanity, and the secret she carried. A secret that could completely change how we understand creation, power, and even ourselves. Have you noticed that the Bible presents two versions of creation? Two narratives that, at first glance, seem to contradict each other. In the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 27, we find something fascinating. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. Here, the text is clear. Man and woman were created simultaneously, equal, sharing the same essence, made from the same primordial substance. But as we continue reading, we reach chapter 2 of Genesis, and the narrative changes drastically. Eve appears later, created from Adam's rib, as if she were a complement, a secondary being designed to assist him, submissive and dependent. How can we explain this difference? How can these two versions be reconciled? Many scholars point to a literary inconsistency. Others suggest one narrative is symbolic and the other literal. But what if I told you this contradiction is not a simple mistake or literary divergence? What if this difference conceals humanity's greatest secret? What if the first version was actually speaking about another woman, one who existed before Eve and whom history worked tirelessly to erase? In ancient manuscripts, texts that survived attempts at destruction and censorship, we find references to a singular figure, Lilith. Her name appears in documents such as the Alphabet of Ben Sira, a mysterious Jewish text dating back to the 6th century. According to these records, Lilith was created from the same clay as Adam, just like Eve. But there was a crucial difference. Lilith was independent, whole, and equal to Adam in every way. She was not created to be submissive or servile. She was autonomous, aware of her own strength and freedom. And it was precisely this independence that caused the conflict that would make her legendary. When Adam tried to assert his authority, as prescribed by the patriarchal vision that would later consolidate, Lilith refused to accept any inferior position. In an act of courage that echoes through millennia, she said, "Why should I submit to you? We were created from the same substance." This statement, seemingly simple, carried a silent revolution. It challenged the established hierarchy, questioned divine authority, and claimed equality with Adam. The conflict escalated quickly. Paradise, which was supposed to be a place of harmony, became the stage for a silent battle, where one woman's freedom threatened the established order. Lilith refused to yield. She was whole, autonomous, and unwavering. And when it became clear that the situation would be unsustainable, she made a radical decision that would forever alter the perception of women in history. She fled paradise. But her flight was not simple. Lilith, in her boldness, pronounced the secret name of God, a name that grants power over the divine itself. By doing so, she vanished, crossing the boundaries of the known world, leaving Adam, Eden, and the narrative that would come to know her only as a myth or a symbol of danger and rebellion. God, perceiving the audacity of the first woman, sent 3 angels to capture her: Senoi, Sansonoi, and Semangelof. They found her on the shores of the Red Sea, a region laden with symbolism associated with chaos, the unknown, and transgression. But Lilith was unwilling to return. When the angels confronted her, she responded firmly, I would rather see 100 of my children die every day than submit. It was this declaration that solidified her figure as the woman who dared to say no, who would not bow, who refused submission. From this refusal was born the legend that transformed the first free woman of creation into the mother of night demons, a symbol of power, independence, and danger to those who feared feminine freedom. From that point on, something sinister began to happen to Lilith's story. Her records were systematically erased, manuscripts disappeared, translations were altered, and her figure was demonized. What had once been a woman equal to Adam, endowed with intelligence, power, and autonomy, was transformed into a succubus, a nocturnal creature, a terror for newborns and pregnant women. The narrative that should have celebrated freedom and equality was converted into a warning and a source of fear. But was all this coincidental? Or did ancient patriarchal societies, fearing the power of a woman who said no, decide to erase her from history, relegating her to oblivion and demonization? Despite all efforts, Lilith was not completely erased. She still survives, hidden in the pages of the Bible, in Isaiah 34:14. The Lilith shall rest there and find a place for herself. In the original Hebrew, her name appears as Lilith. Lilith. Many modern translations prefer to substitute it with generic terms like night creature or owl, but the echo of her existence remains, subtle yet powerful. It is a reminder that truth, however hidden, never completely disappears. Lilith represents not only the first woman of creation, but also forbidden knowledge, boldness, and resistance that challenged established power. The knowledge Lilith possessed was her greatest asset, and at the same time, her greatest threat. She knew the secret name of God, information no human should possess, a power capable of altering the course of creation and challenging divine authority. This explains the relentless effort to erase her from history, to reduce her existence to myth, legend, or warning. Lilith's rebellion was not only against Adam or the Order of Eden, but against any system seeking to control, subjugate, or erase female power. And this is precisely what makes her story so relevant today. Lilith is not just an ancient character. She is an eternal symbol of resistance, knowledge, and freedom that defies conformity. As we reflect on this, an inevitable question arises. Why was a woman equal to Adam rejected, while a submissive woman, made from a rib, was accepted into the biblical narrative we know? Why did Eve, submissive and obedient, remain in the Bible, while Lilith, made from the same earth, was erased, demonized, and transformed into legend? The answer perhaps reveals more about ourselves than we would like to admit. It reveals the ancestral fear of female power, the discomfort that arises in the presence of freedom that will not bow, and the systematic effort of patriarchal societies to control and domesticate what they cannot possess. Lilith is, therefore, a living lesson, a mirror reflecting humanity's prejudices, fears, and limitations, inviting us to question, investigate, and challenge what we have been taught as absolute truth. Lilith's story also connects to other ancient and mystical texts, such as the Book of Enoch, which was banned from official tradition, but which holds secrets about fallen angels, forbidden knowledge, and the nature of creation that go far beyond the official biblical narrative. By exploring these texts, we realize that the story we were told is only a superficial layer. There are layers upon layers of hidden knowledge, erased, censored, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to seek it. Lilith is the key that opens the door to these secrets. She shows us that truth is not always what we are told. Often it is hidden, waiting to be rediscovered by those who dare to look. The trajectory of Lilith, from her creation to her disappearance, is a testament to the power of autonomy and knowledge. She did not yield, she did not submit, and in doing so, she was transformed into myth, warning, and symbol of terror for those who feared her freedom. But this transformation did not erase her essence. Lilith remains alive in every story, in every hidden record, in every translation that tries to soften her presence. She is remembered, even if only in whispers, as the woman who dared to be whole, who dared to know, who dared to be free. Reflecting on Lilith, we are invited to question not only the history we have been told, but also our own beliefs, fears, and prejudices. What is the impact of forbidden knowledge? What does it mean for us, today, to live in a world where certain truths are censored, erased, or transformed into myth? Lilith challenges us to seek, to question, to not accept ready-made truths, and to recognize that freedom and power are intrinsically linked to knowledge and the courage to say no. The truth is that Lilith's story is more than an ancient narrative. It is a call to reflection, investigation, and freedom. She reminds us that knowledge is power, that independence is a right, and that history often hides more than it reveals. Every lost reference, every altered translation, every demonization of her figure is a reminder that truth is not always comfortable, not always accepted, but it is there, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to look beyond the obvious. And so, Lilith endures. She is the echo of a woman who dared to challenge the order, who dared to know, who dared to be whole. She is the symbol of resistance, power, and forbidden knowledge, reminding us that the history we know is only one layer of a much larger, more complex, and above all, more truthful reality than we were ever told. Lilith's narrative invites us to continue investigating, questioning, and exploring the ancient texts, the hidden records, and the mysteries that tradition tried to erase. If you have come this far, it means you are not satisfied with ready-made truths. It means you are someone who seeks understanding, who wants to go beyond the surface, who wants to discover what has been hidden. And that is exactly why we must continue our journey, exploring the Book of Enoch, ancient manuscripts, and secrets buried in the shadows of history. Because only through investigation, curiosity, and the courage to question can we truly understand the magnitude of what has been erased, censored, and turned into myth. Lilith is not just an ancient character. She is a guide, a key, an eternal symbol of what is powerful, true, and untamable. See you in the next revelation, as we dive even deeper into forgotten secrets of history, mysteries that challenge human understanding, and truths that have been hidden from those who dared to look. For only those who question, investigate, and challenge are able to discover what has truly been concealed.